Hello dear participants, I welcome you all in this certificate course on data interpretation using MS Excel and SPSS. So this part already we have studied in the previous lecture, the classification of the data. So data is classified into two parts, categorical or non-numeric or non-metric or qualitative data, and the other type of the data is numerical or metric or non-categorical and qualitative data. Fine. But to make it more simple, let me classify it into this thing. The data is classified into only two parts, qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative is further classified into two parts, discrete and continuous data. Fine. This part already we have seen in the previous lecture. This is kind of just revision thing. Fine. Now, before starting this lecture, let me ask you that how actually we measure the following variables. The variables are enlisted here. First is the income. How we measure income? We measure income in rupees or in dollars. Fine. If I ask my respondent how much is your income, then he or she will respond like 20,000 rupees per month or 15,000 rupees per month or so on and so forth. If I ask for a distance, how we measure the distance? Distance of, say that the distance of office from my home, then we measure the distance in meter or in kilometer, correct? How we measure the height? We measure height in centimeter or in feet and inches, correct? How we measure the weight? We measure weight in kg, correct? How we measure the body temperature in Celsius, or we measure temperature in Fahrenheit also. Now, if I draw line here and if I ask that how we measure gender, how we measure gender, do we have some measurement scale? For gender, actually, we know that we are going to get either any one of the response from this category, that is male or female or transgender. So we are having some predetermined categories for some of the variables. Fine. How we measure the honesty or the taste of food or the satisfaction after lecture? Do we have some particular scale? Suppose in my case, if I use here Likert scale, 5-level Likert scale, and if I ask my respondent that how much you are satisfied with this lecture, and just scale on 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So highly satisfied is 1 and the least satisfied is 5. Fine. So there are different types of the variable that we actually deal with during our research, and when we are dealing with different variables, we need to have some measurement scale. We measure the things, but when we are measuring the things, each measurement is having some sort of measurement scale. So what do we mean by the measurement scale, and what are the different types of measurement scale that we actually use in our research? That part we are going to understand in this lecture. So let me take you to the title of this lecture. Title of this lecture is measurement of the scale. And what is the objective of this lecture? Objective of this lecture is to make you familiar with the different types of the measurement of scale. Fine. So what is measurement? Measurement in a research consists of assigning numbers to the properties of objects in compliance with the set of mapping rules. What does that mean? Considering 4 mapping rules, they are classification, order, distance and origin. Considering some set of mapping rules, we assign numbers to the properties of object, study object. Fine. So to measure the property, how we measure the property of variable? To measure the property of variable, we need some scale, and this is very important. Scale. So we need some scale to measure the property of the variable, and what are they? What are the different types of the scale that we use, that we are going to explain you in this lecture. For example, here when we are measuring the property of variable, suppose length of the table. So length is the property. Fine. How I am going to measure this? I am going to use one tape, and I'll just start from 0 and I'll start measuring the length of the table in centimeter or in inches. Temperature, will measure the temperature using our thermometer in Celsius or in Fahrenheit. How we are going to measure the happiness? For that, again, we are going to use some kind of Likert scale. We'll give 5 numbers 1, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll ask our respondent to just give your opinion that how much you are happy or not happy. Fine. And for gender, we are having predetermined classification, and we ask our respondent to opt for any one. So to measure any property of the variable, we need some kind of the scale, and these scales are classified into 4 types. What are they? They are here. First measurement of scale is nominal scale, other is ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. There are only 4 measurement of the scale. There is no fifth measurement of scale. All your variables, all your data is classified into these 4 measurement of scales only. Fine. But again, if I go little further, in the software like SPSS, they consider only 3 scales. Nominal scale like this, ordinal scale like this, and the scale, actually this scale is nothing but the combination of these two, interval and ratio scale. So in the software like SPSS or in R or any other software, interval, there is no distinction between interval and ratio scale. These softwares consider them as the same. So in the SPSS, we'll be dealing with only these 3 scales: nominal, ordinal, and scale. But in theoretically, there are 4 different types of the measurement of the scale. And in this lecture, we are going to understand the meaning of each one of the measurement of the scale. So let me take you to the nominal scale first. What is nominal scale? Nominal scale is actually, it is labeled or named data. If you are having a variable where you have got only the alphabetical responses, named responses, or the labeled responses, then it will be known as a nominal scale data. Fine. What are the properties of the nominal scale data? It is qualitative in nature. Suppose I am asking my respondent, what is your gender? Then they will be responding me like male, female, or transgender. So it is in qualitative in nature. It is alphabetical. Yes, we are not getting any numbers. Right? We are getting responses in alphabets. Correct? Mutually exclusive. What does that mean? Mutually exclusive means if one person or someone responds me that he is male, when he is saying that he is male, at the same time the same person will not say that I am female also. Fine. Means if he is male, he has opted this, he cannot opt at the same time this also. If someone says that he or she is transgender, fine, at the same time he or she will not opt for this. He or she will have to just opt any one of this, that is called mutually exclusive. There is no overlapping in such kind of data or such kind of scale. Collectively exhaustive, what does that mean? Collectively exhaustive means there is a categorization like this for gender, male, female, and transgender. There is no fourth type. Fourth type is not there. All are covered here. Fine. So that means this scale is collectively exhaustive. It is pre-decided, predetermined. Fine. Absence of order. What does that mean? Absence of order means I can write this classification like male, female, and transgender. At the same time, I can write this like, or arrange this like this: transgender, male, and female, or say that female, male, and transgender. Means there is no specific order. You can put any one anywhere, no issue. Respondent will see this and he will select the appropriate this answer to whom he actually belongs to. Correct? So there is absence of order in the nominal scale. No numeric significance, but we can allocate numerical symbol. For example, when I'm saying male, female and transgender, and suppose I'm giving some codes. So these three are the attributes and we have already seen the meaning of the attribute in the previous lecture, and I'm giving some code to these attributes. Suppose male is 0, female is 1 and transgender is 2. Now does that these numbers are having some meaning, means does this number means 1 is less than 0 is less than 1 and 1 is less than 2, it means male is less than female, female is less than transgender. Does that do, can we give some meaning to this? No, this is not the case. These numbers are simply the allocated numbers to identify that one number is allocated to female, 2 to transgender and 0 to male. And why so? Why we give code to these attributes? We give code to these attributes because your SPSS or MS Excel are only able to read the numeric data. So numbers are the language for these different softwares. Fine. I hope you understood. So there is no numeric significance as such, but we can allocate numerical symbols. Least powerful among others. What does that mean? Least powerful in what sense? It is least powerful so far the statistical treatment is concerned. So we can give very less statistical treatment on the nominal data. That is the meaning of this property. And finally, there is no order, no distance or no arithmetic origin. Now let me take you to the examples of nominal scale. What are the examples of nominal scale? Gender. Yes, gender is one of the example of nominal scale because we get responses in such a pattern that either we are getting responses like male or female or transgender in that pattern. Correct. Religion: Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jain. Whatever. Category: general category SC, ST, OBC. We do have predetermined categories. Correct. Occupation: as a researcher I can classify the occupation considering my population. Fine. Type of house: pakka, kacha, half pakka, that way, or the yes no type question, or the agree disagree type question. All they are nominal. They comes under the nominal scale. Fine. They all comes in the nominal scale. Now we'll shift to the next measurement of the scale, and that is ordinal scale. What is ordinal scale? When there is a variable who is carrying the characteristics of nominal plus it is indicating orders, then it will be known as an ordinal scale data or the variable. Ordinal scale typically it measures the non-numeric concept. Again, this is very important. See, in ordinal scale we are going to use the numbers first, second, third, fourth and so on and so forth. Though we are using the numbers, but actually we are using it to measure the non-numeric concepts. Right? What does that mean? When we'll see the example, you will understand the meaning of this. What are the properties? It carries the property of order. Yes, first, correct, or second or third. Huh? So that way it has the property of order. Numbers are not equidistant. What does that mean? Suppose I have taken one examination and the scores are there, and then I have announced that this boy is first from my class, this boy is second from my class, this girl is third from my class. Now, is there equal distance between these three students toppers? If the first student have got 90%, the second student have got 85%, so the gap between these two is of actually 5% only, but the third student have got say that 70%, then the gap between these two is 15%. So here is the gap of 15%, here is the gap between these two is 5%. So there is no equal distance between two numbers. It has nothing to do here. They are simply the numbers. He is first, he is second, he is third. Correct? So number indicates relative position. all these numbers are showing the relative position only. These numbers are not showing us, or they are not telling us the magnitude of difference. Correct? Then the mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive, these properties already we studied in the nominal scale. The same properties are here because in ordinal scale there are the characteristics of nominal scale, plus addition to that there is order. Fine. Now let me take you to the examples of ordinal scale. ICC cricket ranking, yes, it is an example of ordinal scale. Student ranking in the exam, quality ranking, ranking of teams in tournament, satisfaction, happiness, discomfort, consumers' preference and perception, ranking of highest to lowest or lowest to highest, vice versa. All they are the examples of ordinal scale. Correct? Now, let me take you to the further slide. Next type of the measurement of the scale is interval scale. What is interval? Interval itself means the space in between. Interval scale tells us about the order, and addition to that equal distance. This is very important. Equal distance between each item with zero arbitrary. And this is also again a very important thing. What does that mean? Let's see. First property of interval scale is this is the first numeric scale. Previous scales nominal, it is associated with alphabets. This is alphabetical, right? Ordinal, alphabetical plus orders. But they both are non-numeric, means they both measures the non-numeric things. Whereas interval scale is the first scale which measures the numeric things. Right? That is why this scale is known as a numeric scale. It contains equal interval or the difference. Suppose if I am measuring the time 9 a.m. the difference between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. is how much is the difference? That is 60 minutes. Correct? Then how much is the difference between 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.? Is it same or is it different? Will it be 61 minutes or 65 minutes? No, it will remain same. That is again minutes. So there is equal interval between 2 points in the interval scale. Interval is fixed. Yes, this part is fixed. This is fixed. Correct. And no true zero or zero is arbitrary. What does that mean? If I ask someone what is time, is there somebody is going to say that time is zero? Means when I'm saying that time is zero, does that mean time is absent? Whether that variable is absent? Can we say like this? No, time is never zero. There is some time always. Fine. To understand this again, when we'll see some example, you will understand this. See, here are the examples of interval scale. Time is an example, temperature, CGPA, IQ test. Now here, if I come here the temperature is denoted by 0 Celsius. Does that mean that there is no temperature at all? There is no existence of the temperature? No. Actually, 0 Celsius means it is cold. It is cold temperature. There is temperature, and that temperature is very cold. Fine. So no temperature, that meaning we cannot give here. Here 0 is simply an arbitrary 0. This 0 is only arbitrary 0. Fine. I hope you understood this. Now we'll go further. Ratio scale. What is ratio scale? It is a scale with the properties of categorization, order, equal interval and unique origin. It has a true 0. 0 of the measurement indicates that there is none of that variable. Correct? When we'll see the examples, you will understand the meaning of this statement. What are the properties? It is the richest scale. Richest scale for what? For the statistical treatment. We can give as many as statistical treatments on the ratio scale than any other measurement scale. Right? True 0. 0 has some meaning here that we'll see when we'll see the examples. You will come to know that what does that mean. 0 has some meaning. Correct? Third property, it allows to classify, rank, order and compare the object. Yes. And finally, all statistical techniques can be applied here on the ratio scale. Now, let me take you to the further slide. Here is the example. Blood pressure. When I said there is a true zero, what does that mean? True zero means if I am measuring blood pressure of, suppose, a patient, and if the blood pressure comes zero, does that mean that the person is living? No. When blood pressure is zero, it means there is no blood pressure in the body. It means that patient has died. This zero has some meaning. This zero has some meaning here. Again, pulse. When I am saying that there is zero pulse, it means there is no pulse. It means that person has died. Oxygen level. We all have used oximeters during the COVID pandemic, correct? So when we are using the oximeter, it shows us the different numbers. They are kind of ratio scale. If it is approaching towards zero, it has some meaning. Money income. If there is a zero money income with some respondent, it means he has no income. It has some meaning. Sales, cost, market shares, reaction rate. So they are the examples of the ratio scale. Anyhow, when we'll go to the softwares like SPSS or MS Excel, interval and ratio scale are considered same. They are considered as a scale only. Fine. But still there is a difference between these two measurement scale, interval and ratio. Now let me take you to the further slide. We have seen different four types of the measurement scale: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. Now how they are associated with the types of the data. And as already we have studied, there are two types of the data: qualitative and quantitative. So nominal and ordinal measurement scale are actually associated with qualitative data, whereas interval and ratio scale are actually associated with quantitative data. So nominal, ordinal comes under qualitative data and interval and ratio comes under quantitative data. Furthermore, in the upcoming lecture, we are going to see that for ordinal and for nominal, there are specific statistical techniques, and for interval and ratio, there are separate statistical techniques. There is limitation to use statistical techniques in nominal and ordinal scale, whereas as we move from the nominal to ordinal or ordinal to interval or from interval to ratio, we can give more and more statistical techniques on the data. What does that mean? It means that as we move from the left to right, we can use higher level of the statistical analysis, and as we move from right to left towards the nominal, we'll be having some limitations to give statistical treatment on the data. So nominal data with the fewer statistical treatment and ratio data with higher level of the statistical treatment, higher level, maximum I can say. Fine. Now let me take you to the further slide. Here is the summary of the measurement of scale. The first is the nominal scale. What are the characteristics? It is named, it is labeled, it is mutually exclusive, exhaustive and no numeric significance. Here are the examples of the nominal scale. What is ordinal scale? Properties of nominal, addition to that order is there. Numbers are not equidistant. Numbers indicate relative positions. Fine. When numbers are not equidistant means when first, second and third, there is no equal distance between these three numbers. Fine. And here are the examples like ICC cricket ranking, student ranking, quality ranking or ranking of teams in tournament. They are the examples of ordinal data. Interval scale, it is a first numeric scale. It contains equal interval or the difference. Interval is fixed. No true zero. Zero is arbitrary. Here are the examples: time, temperature. Marks are not here. Marks comes in here. Ratio thing. Means we can use there. CGPA and IQ test. Ratio, richest scale, true, 0. 0 has some meaning. It allows to classify, rank, order and compare the object. All statistical techniques can be applied, and here are the examples of ratio scale. They are blood pressure, pulse, oxygen level and money income. Fine. Now let me take you to the further part. Here are the some of the important notes for you. See, we cannot apply any statistics on any type of the data. Many times we think that suppose I am having data with me and I feel that fine, now I'll enter this data into SPSS and I can give any statistical treatment. Please pay attention that we cannot do that thing. SPSS will give you results, some kind of results, but it is really very difficult to give meaning to that result. So first, you will have to know, you will have to understand that what type of data actually you have with this. You will have with you. Then, considering that, you will have to choose appropriate statistical techniques. So, the second important note here is choose appropriate statistical technique for respective variable is very important to us. Now in the previous lectures we have understood what is variable, what are the different types of the variable. In the previous lecture we have understood that what are the different types of the data. In the current lecture we have understood what are the different measurement of the scale associated with the variables. Now in the next lecture, in upcoming lecture, we are going to understand what are the different statistical techniques and how different statistical techniques are actually associated with respective different types of the variable or different types of the measurement of the scale. So that part is very crucial and important. And the finally last important note is process in MS Excel and SPSS is simplest part. It is simplest part because it takes few minutes to demonstrate whole statistics and econometrics. So understanding of the data, understanding of the variable and understanding of the statistical technique is the important part actually. So what are the important steps in research according to me? According to me, first you will have to identify the types of data you have, choose appropriate statistical technique to give treatment, and who gives the treatment. To give treatment, do you really means do you means really is it required to remember all the formulas? No, because who is going to give treatment? MS Excel and SPSS are going to give treatment. So in primary stage, in preliminary stage, to remember the formulas are not that much required. Simply you will have to know the meaning of these statistical technique and then give the treatment using MS Excel and SPSS and just give meaning to that result. That is enough at preliminary level. Fine. Now let me take you to the next slide. So here is the classification which earlier we have already seen that the types of data. At the beginning of this lecture we have seen this. So data is classified into qualitative data and quantitative data. And we have seen the measurement of the scale. So there are four measurement of the scale: nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio scale. And here you can see that on nominal and ordinal we can use less statistics. As we move from the nominal to ordinal, ordinal to interval and interval to ratio, we can use more and more statistical techniques. Fine. Now if I go to the softwares are going to consider only three measurement scale. First nominal, second ordinal and third is scale. Scale means softwares are going to consider interval and ratio as one and they name it scale. Fine. Whenever we'll start working with the SPSS, you will come to know that how it is actually working in the softwares. Fine. So here data is classified into two: qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative data actually is associated with nominal and ordinal only, and that is why qualitative data or nominal or ordinal data we can give very less statistical treatment on such kind of data. Whereas if we are having the quantitative data or the scale kind of data, then we can use more and more statistics on that data. Fine. I hope you understood this. And here is the last slide of this lecture. Name the measurement scale for the following. Now, as we have mentioned earlier, there are actually 4 scales, but we are going to consider only 3 scales because in the software we'll be dealing with only 3 scales. First is nominal scale, second is ordinal scale, and third is simply name it scale. Scale means interval plus ratio, combination of these two. Now income, whether it is a nominal scale or ordinal or scale, so this is scale data. Distance, it is in numbers, correct? When it is in numbers, do we have orders or do we have alphabets? No. So this is not nominal, this is not ordinal, but this is scale data. Likewise, you will have to answer each of this variable. Height, scale data. Weight, again it is scale. Temperature, scale. Gender is nominal. Honesty, if you are using Likert scale, 5 level Likert scale, then it will be ordinal scale. Likewise, if you are having data with you, if you are having variables with you, you should sorry, you should able to identify what type of your variable is, what is the measurement scale of that variable, that you should able to identify, or that you should able to determine. And if you are able, then we can go forward and we can go with the statistical treatment. So I hope you understood this lecture and you enjoyed this lecture. See you soon in the next lecture. Thank you.